Good evening, I'm Laura Lee.
And I'm Dan Wolf. Thanks for joining us. Stuck and frustrated. Residents of a 5-story senior citizen and disabled persons housing facility have spent the last 3 months now without the building's only elevator.
Our Madison Green spoke to a resident today concerned for her neighbors, who she says have not left their apartments since January.
Life became more difficult for residents on the top floors of Maple Grove Apartments in Hermantown when the only elevator in the building was put out of service.
The people that live on 3 and 4 have been stuck in their apartments since January 28th. They have no way to get downstairs. They're in wheelchairs or walkers.
Mary Mishler is a resident on the 2nd floor, but concerned for her upstairs neighbors. According to the Hermantown Fire Department, after a scheduled upgrade in January, the hydraulic system failed a state test. The part needed to fix the elevator is coming from overseas, and residents who were initially told the problem would be fixed in February are finding themselves stranded 3 months later.
If anything happens or there's so-called fire, what are they going to do? Jump out the window? Pray for somebody to come and help them? It's not okay.
Deputy Chief of the Hermantown Fire Department, Stephen Johnson, says they have an agreement with the building's management and the city for a thorough plan in case of an emergency.
A robust amount of resources being dedicated to that incident. So not only just in Hermantown and all the surrounding areas that are going to help us, and the amount of people that would be needed and the equipment needed to mitigate that hazard as fastly as possible and make sure that everyone is safe.
The fire department also has a master list of the residents who would require extra attention in case of an emergency, but Mishler believes it shouldn't still be a concern.
I only want a miracle, and I want that elevator fixed. It's been my complaint since February that it just makes me angry that these people have to deal with this.
In Hermantown, Madison Green, Northern News Now.
Well, since the elevator broke, there's been one incident of smoke reported in the building and several medical calls.
Now, we did reach out to the building's management for an interview about these safety concerns, but have not heard back.